We've got a bombshell NFL report to discuss here on Jags Now, presented by Chat Sports. Welcome into the show. My name is Coen Brown. I am your host, and Maxx Crosby is not headed to the Baltimore Ravens. Absolute just crazy things are happening across the sports world as Maxx Crosby is set to rejoin the Las Vegas Raiders, I guess is the best word to say, after the Baltimore Ravens failed his physical ahead of NFL free agent, ahead of, the new league year where trades are officially, can be officially finalized. It's unbelievable, man. All right, so we're going to try to chronicleize this. We're going to talk about what it means for the Jaguars and just give my kind of full thoughts on this. But make sure you guys subscribe for the latest Jags news and rumors. We got you covered, whether it's, free agency, the draft, whether it's rumors like this, whether it's news. We're always going to give you guys a video, so make sure you hit that sub button for the latest Jags news and rumors. Okay, just to kind of chronicleize this, I to be honest, guys, I'm also a producer here at Chat Sports. I do producing for our Bears show and our Four Verts show, just full context, along with hosting this Jags channel. And we were getting ready to, I was getting ready to produce a show. This Maxx Crosby trade news came in, and it's one of those moments where you're always gonna remember where you were during certain sports moments. I was sitting there in the producer chair getting ready to produce when this news dropped, and I'm still shocked. So just to kind of chronicleize it here, Diana Rossini was the first one to report that the trade is off between the Jaguars, or excuse me, not Jaguars, the Raiders and the Baltimore Ravens. The Raiders did put out a statement saying the Baltimore Ravens have backed out of our trade agreement for Maxx Crosby. Will have no further comment at this time. And then Rossini had this saying, after Maxx Crosby underwent testing at the Ravens facility, Baltimore made the decision as an organization that it could not move forward with the deal based on the results of the medical. Crosby will remain a Raider for now, as other teams can weigh in potential risk that comes with trading him. There's also reports from Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero that the Dallas Cowboys are still remaining interested in potentially trading for Maxx Crosby, so that's one name that they threw out there. Huge news, right? You give up two first-round picks if you're the Baltimore Ravens for Maxx Crosby, one in 2026, one in 2027, and now those are gone, or they're back to Baltimore. And if you're the Raiders, and there's so many different aspects of it, do the Ravens pivot to Trey Hendrickson, who hasn't been signed yet? Do the Raiders, what do they do after signing Tyler Linderbaum to an obscene $27 million per year contract? There's so many trades. There's so much stuff that could happen from this. And I'm going to try to translate it to, or try to pivot it to our Jaguars angle. But initial reaction, what was your one-word reaction? I'll ask you guys down below before I get into the Jaguars angle of this. I promise we're getting there. What was your one-word reaction when you saw the Maxx Crosby news? Just let me know down in the comment section. I'm still shocked. I'm just flabbergasted, I guess is the best word. Like, I'm still trying to process this just kind of monumental trade that didn't happen, that did not take place. It's unbelievable, man. So, let me know down in the comment section below, what was your one-word reaction to Maxx Crosby's trade? Basically, no more. No mas. The trade is off. Okay, so this is the Jaguars part of the angle about it. Because we talked about Diana Rossini. Shout out to her. She does great work for The Athletic. And this, that, or the other. I'll say this. So she had the initial report after the trade was initially finalized between the Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders, saying that there were, multiple teams that were kind of interested in Crosby's services, including the Dallas Cowboys, who I think reported, were willing to deal a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Apparently a surprise team trying to make a trade for Maxx Crosby was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They were in it. How much were they in it? I don't know. I will say Ryan O'Halloran, who does really good work covering the Jaguars for the Florida Times-Union, he did say on Twitter that he asked the source, were the Jaguars ever seriously in on Crosby, saying no. So, again, how much was James Gladstone potentially interested in trading for one of the best pass rushers in all of football? I'm not sure, but from a Jaguars perspective, do they potentially get back into it? I mean, for Rossini to come out and say that the Jaguars were one of the teams that, were interested in Crosby. She had to get that from somewhere. And again, does James Gladstone, who hasn't done really much in all of free agency, we've kind of hit the moves here on the channel. They re-signed Monteric Brown. They re-signed Dennis Gardeck. Two really, solid moves. I think especially locking in Monteric Brown was one of the more underrated moves so far during NFL free agency because the Jaguars, secured their top 4 cornerbacks for next season. And Dennis Gardeck, really contributes on base defenses, a guy that can contribute as a pass rusher, also contributes on special teams. Like, he's really just a true glue guy that I think can provide this team value. So to get him re-signed was a plus from Jacksonville. Unfortunately, yes, they did lose Travis Etienne and Devin Lloyd, but that was widely expected, Outside of that, there hasn't been much buzz. They did cut Johnny Munt. They've made some contract restructures. Most recent one being Robert Hainsey, the center that we broke down short earlier here on the channel. And I'm just sitting there, and again, the Jaguars, at last I checked on Spotrac, in fact, actually, I'm going to just kind of pull this up on the fly here just to kind of see what Spotrac is saying in terms of the Jaguars cap space. Because, again, Maxx Crosby, you're sitting there. Where is cap space? So as of this current moment, the Jaguars, and I apologize for looking down this much, are roughly at $10.7 million in cap space. Now, that is not enough to trade for Maxx Crosby, clearly. It would be one of those moves where they would have to make a lot of restructures, potentially some cuts, and really maneuver things around. Would they potentially have to throw in some people in trades? I'm not sure. But James Gladstone, at least per Diana Rossini's report, and again, how much were the Jaguars actually involved in Maxx Crosby's negotiations? I'm not sure. But the fact that Rossini was putting out that report leads me to believe that Jacksonville, at least Gladstone, I think will make a call again. Because you're not getting 2 first-round picks again for Maxx Crosby. That's off the table. It's probably going to cost a first and something else, maybe like a day 3 pick, if I had to guess. We've never had something like this happen before, so there's not really anything that I can reference to in terms of what trade compensation could be for the Jaguars. It's one of those where, Brian Thomas Jr. Trade rumors were put to bed by Adam Schefter today, saying that the Jaguars were not listening to trade rumors on Brian Thomas Jr., so unless a new report comes out on that, I don't expect him to get moved. Trayvon Walker, deep rumors that maybe the Jaguars would consider it. I kind of briefly mentioned on the show, but I don't consider him a likely trade candidate. Could the Jaguars potentially look at, moving off some, other pieces to the Las Vegas Raiders? I'm not sure. I'm, again, just reacting to this live or just for you guys here on the show. The Jaguars are in a weird position because, they have kind of everybody in terms of their cap space, kind of set and everything. I think they're going to, make some maybe lower level signings. They're going to try to get their draft class in order. But when Maxx Crosby, something like this comes up, again, because of his physical, you have to weigh the pros and cons of it as well. How bad is his knee injury? Clearly for Baltimore, who's a well-respected organization in the league, and again, I'm just processing this just like you guys. It's one of those where, do you potentially even want to trade for Maxx Crosby now that he's failed a physical from Baltimore? That's a real concern now with his knee. And certainly if you are going to trade for him, what would you give up for a Maxx Crosby trade? Should the Jaguars even be interested? My kind of just general thoughts on it is I think Gladstone will check in, as he should. I'm not giving up. Clearly no one's giving up 2 firsts at this point for Crosby. If you're the Jags, and again, James Gladstone's proven that he's been willing to deal. He made, obviously, the Travis Hunter trade. He made the trade for Greg Newsome. He made the trade for Jacoby Myers. He has proven that he's willing to wheel and deal here. Could the Jaguars trade for Maxx Crosby? Never say never. I will say it's unlikely given their cap situation and the fact that in terms of, how they would have to financially maneuver the cap, it wouldn't be the easiest. But man, oh man, this is a bombshell report in terms of the Jaguars, or in terms of Maxx Crosby, and could the Jaguars potentially get involved? I would consider it highly unlikely. That is my kind of just final thoughts, but let me know down in the comment section below, would you trade for Maxx Crosby if you were James Gladstone? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Let me know down in the comment section below. If I had to, like I said, for the right price, I mean, you would trade for anybody. But what will that price be? It certainly is not going to be 2 first-round picks, like I previously mentioned. Guys, this is one of those craziest things I've ever seen in sports in terms of a trade for a player of Maxx Crosby's caliber to get revoked like this. I mean, that knee, you really do have to question what it's at this point. So that's it for this episode of Jags Now. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Again, I'm just still trying to process this. I may do another, video if we get more details or something later in the week, breaking this down even further with kind of more collected thoughts and everything. But just wanted to give you guys my raw initial reaction to Maxx Crosby. The trade is off between the Baltimore Ravens and the Las Vegas Raiders. Will the Jacksonville Jaguars get involved in a Maxx Crosby trade? I consider it highly unlikely, but never say never with James Gladstone. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And as always, if you made it to the end of the video, let me hear you guys down in the comment section. Spam Duval down below, and we'll see you on the next one.